Welcome to the first episode of Uncle on the Couch podcast. I'm happy to have y'all here with me, have y'all tuning in. I know a lot of y'all who know me are probably looking at it like, bruh, another podcast. Like, what are you doing, fam? What's going on? I promise you, this will not be what you used to from podcasts or anything like that. I definitely don't want to get into the quote unquote timeline talk, the relationship roles, the gender wars, all of that kind of stuff. That's all of the stuff that I really want to stay away from. Which was part of the reason why I wanted to start this. I feel like there is so many spaces where people promote that kind of talk. Like that's all people talk about. You got 2 billion podcasts where everybody talking about the same thing. So didn't really want that. I'm gonna try to keep this a little bit different. Try to make sure it's fun. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I know y'all probably wondering why Uncle on the Couch. So black community, I know y'all know it's always been a stigma of there being an uncle on somebody's couch, whether it was your grandma, your auntie, your mama, your cousin, whoever it was. You always had that uncle that lived on somebody's couch. So, with that terrible stigma, what I wanted to do was kind of flip that around. Use that to, speak some light into people, give some encouragement, give some game from the couch, which not actually on my couch right now, but it definitely it still applies. That setting for typically what it means for those type of conversations is always cool. You can sit and chill with somebody on the couch and learn something new or get some new insight to something. So I wanted to kind of keep it along those lines and do my best to help people out. I definitely feel like, that's something that's needed, especially as a man. I've gone through a lot in like the past couple of years. So for me, trying to navigate those spaces without necessarily having the people attached to you that will, you know, grow you or kind of give you that insight or sit you down and have those conversations, having those people not necessarily readily available, that's where, for me, I kind of looked out to search those spaces to see if anybody else was kind of going through the same things, if there was anybody that could give me some of those tips or even just some insight of their own journey of what it was that they were going through, how they navigated it, how they got better, all of those kinds of things. So I think as men, we don't have enough of those spaces, but then we also, as men, we typically lead with our ego. So we don't ask, we don't look for it. And we typically, if we come across it, cool, we'll engage, we'll listen, all of those kinds of things, but it's not something that's readily available for us, which for me, kind of seeing that and navigating that, or actually kind of even, still going through it, that was where I was like, damn, I wanted to really kind of cultivate a space for that kind of talk. Of course, it's not going to always be male centered. It's not always going to be, of course, just about, hey, how do we uplift men? There's a ton of women who, of course, need encouragement as well. They want insight. You got women trying to be a better girlfriend, better wife, all of those kinds of things. So they want to understand a male perspective a little bit different. So the best I can, I'll try to give some of that insight. Kind of give some of what the thinking of a man is, or an evolving man is, at least from my standpoint, from my experiences, my life, and just currently where I am, which all of those things kind of led me or keep leading me along my journey of self-discovery, and really defining for myself what it is to be a man, to learn to be a man. Of course, I spent a lot of time in relationships, so for me, um I never really got that opportunity to kind of figure out myself, and especially myself as an adult man. And I think there's a real importance to that, to discover who you really are, to be able to look yourself in the mirror and know who you really are, or you lay down at night and you can really kind of have those conversations with yourself. You can, be accountable to yourself to say, hey, this is where I went wrong, or this is where, I need to grow, or I know that I need to grow here. How do I find that? So asking those questions, reaching out, all of those things are a part of that self discovery. And then to really kind of go along with that for myself, it was getting closer to God. Um, Big believer in keep God first in everything it is that you do. Keep God first in your life. Definitely a praying man. So getting closer to God and really kind of taking that isolation time and looking to Him was major for me. It was a huge key. It helped me to really it helped me to get to this point, to even be willing to share some things, to kind of tap into my creativity, because I feel like creativity is the way that we can use our gifts that God gave us to, whether it's relate information or to, of course, further the kingdom. Any of those ways, it really helps us find our purpose. It helps us do something and feel fulfilled. So that was paramount to my growth and, the man that I want to be, the man that I know God called me to be. And then to even get to the man that God called me to be, I had to develop a lot of consistency. Like I struggled with consistency a lot. I should say I was selectively consistent. That's a better way to kind of categorize it. I could be consistent with the things that I genuinely wanted. So like growing locks. I had locks for almost 12 years. And of course, anybody who knows, anybody who's done it or seen anybody do it, that requires a lot of consistency. Staying on top of everything when it comes to that. I could do that. But then if it was being consistent with going to church, I will fall off. Or if I was required to be consistent with something in a relationship, I would be consistent for a short time, and then all of a sudden I'm falling off the wagon. And I know to the average person, that they might say, "Hey, look, consistency is something easy. It's a choice." But I think through my journey, I've discovered consistency isn't as simple as just a choice. Yes, I agree. It is 100% a choice, but it's not as plain and white. Consistency, in my opinion, is a self governance issue. One that I know that I definitely had. Being able to either tell yourself no, or being able to govern yourself accordingly to say, hey, I can't get thrown off track by this, or I got to focus on whatever my goal is, or I got to continue to put in the work because I know the end goal will be exactly what I want. These steps 4 through 7 may suck, but once I get to step 8, I done reached, my final destination. So that self governance was, whew, it was, yeah, it was rough for me. But being able to realize that, take it to God, and then develop a plan around my strengths so that I could start to see that gain in consistency. So I make the example that I knew I wanted to get back into my Bible. Um, and normally I would jump into it and be like, hey, I'm gonna read my Bible every single day. I'm gonna read my Bible in the morning. I'm gonna read it at night, and I'm in it. I'm gonna jump into it. Ain't nobody gonna knock me off my square. But I had to realize that with me doing that, I was giving myself way much more than I was even ready for. So I knew that I wasn't at that level spiritually. I wasn't able to commit to that level of what I thought it was that was great for me. And then I started to baby step myself. So I started with my off days. I would wake up early, pray, get some tea, study my word, and then that led me to, okay, well, now I don't want to just read, I want to study as well. So let me get a study Bible, and then I dedicate time to just reading and then time to study. And then I took it from there to, hey, I want to join a Bible study group in addition to these things, and then picking up other days of reading my word and all of those kinds of things. So figuring out what that plan looks like for something for yourself, so that you're able to really kind of not overwhelm yourself and not bog yourself down with the idea of the end goal. It takes steps to get to wherever it is that you may want to go, you look to go, you hope to go, any of those kinds of things. It's not start line to finish line. If it was, everybody would do it, but it takes steps. You got to go through the rough periods. You got to go through the figuring it out. You got to go through the stumbling, falling, but you're trying, and that's what matters. And I can definitely say I was one of them that trying don't feel good all the time. It don't look good all the time. It don't feel healthy. It doesn't look the way you want it to look. Everybody, of course, when they try something, their idea is, all right, cool, yeah, I'm gonna try it, but I'm gonna perfect it right away. That's not always the case. I ain't never tried to cut my hair, but I guarantee if you threw me some clippers right now and I tried to do a full haircut on myself, it would look terrible because I've never tried, I've never practiced. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know if I can line myself up, I can line somebody else up, I knock out a whole haircut. Does not work like that. So I think that's where myself, it kind of it made me realize like, hey, I need some real help and some guidance. So let me pivot and see, where else I can get some help from. And that led me to reaching out to, some of the guys that I went to church with, or getting into therapy, or getting back into therapy, I should say. I went to therapy years ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely helped me, but I strayed away. I felt like I completed therapy, like I won therapy. So it was like, yeah, I don't really need this. I'm good. I can jump back into regular life, and I got all the tools I need to kind of navigate life. And true enough, yeah, I had some of those tools, but I wasn't using them, or I wasn't using them the way that they should have been used. So I was really doing myself a disservice by, yeah, you have all of the tools, but you ain't doing nothing with it. You just letting everything go to waste, leaving it by the wayside, and really kind of still making terrible decisions. But being back in therapy, it made me be really honest with myself, and I think that was what I appreciated more than anything on this journey, is having the opportunity to really kind of get serious with myself per se. Um, be completely honest for what I don't want, what I do want, what I played a part in as far as the things I'm not proud of, or the opportunities I've had in my life. But then also it taught me how to be patient with myself. And that was something that I genuinely just didn't know how to do. Never really known how to extend patience to myself. Um, I took that um beginning to end. I always thought it was a short distance there for being patient. Patience is a lifelong thing for yourself. Being able to kind of navigate those internal spaces and say, hey, look, give yourself some credit. You're trying. I know you may have made some mistakes in this same area before, but you've changed your way of thinking. You've changed your outlook on life. You've gotten closer to God on those things. You prayed, you repented, you've taken those things up with yourself daily to not only recognize them, but do your damnness to get better at them. That all requires patience. Something that I once again I genuinely did not have for myself. And then of course, not having all of those things, not being honest with myself, not having no honesty in myself or with myself, not being patient with myself, that all led me to a skewed view of what self love looked like. Um, I wasn't I wasn't the most loving to myself throughout my decisions that I made. I made some horrible decisions in life, period. And I would always just kind of walk around like, all right, well, yeah, I made a fucked up decision. I said sorry. I've even tried to take some precautions on fixing it or getting better, but yet I still didn't see that the decision making stemmed from me not valuing who I am. I'm willing to deal with women that I knew I shouldn't have been dealing with, but because they wanted to pay me some attention at that time, it was like, cool, yeah, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna see what you got to say. That's not self love. Putting myself in situations that I know are compromising. It's not self love. It's 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 something that I think people get caught up in the glamour of it. Myself, in that I thought self love was, hey, I'm gonna throw on some nice clothes, I'm gonna get a nice job, I'm gonna have some little money in my pocket. I'm gonna make sure appearance wise everything's good, and that's self love. But the internal was non-existent. I wasn't able to give myself a spiritual hug and feel comfortable. I wasn't able to sit in silence with myself and truly be comfortable. It was always something that it scared the hell out of me and it caused me to run from myself. So going through all of those things, it allowed me to really kind of I shouldn't say kind of, but it allowed me to love myself, to gain real love for myself, and then have a more positive outlook on what that really looks like. That's that's man, I can't preach it enough. That take that journey, take that time to yourself. There's nothing wrong with just saying, "Hey, look," with to yourself that, "Hey, look, we've been fucking up right here, right now. We've been fucking up, but we're gonna get it better." Had those conversations. Life is 100% a marathon, not a sprint. Like there's no reason to not be patient with yourself. You don't have to measure anything else up against, what someone else is doing. Everybody is running their own race. Yeah, there's similarities in life. There are a lot of things that we can kind of learn from each other. Hell, we all even may have the same goals, but it's all self-paced. Love is self-paced. Self-love is self-paced. Um, Spirituality is self-paced. You grow according to where you are. So invest in yourself. If you want to be on level 50 and you feel like you on level 15, iron out what it looks like to get to level 16 first. Go through all of the details. Make sure you cover those things because that's going to lay that foundation for you to get to those higher levels. Um, I think a lot of times with that, the mentality that I've seen and that I've even kind of coached people through is we don't I know we live in a microwave society, but that's not realistic. We have a lot of time and a lot of resources available to us in this time to where people you're not the only one. You're not the only one going through. But definitely everybody is going through something. Everybody is trying to mature. Everybody has a goal. So always keep those good intentions in mind for yourself, for everybody. When you deal with people, have that grace, have that empathy to know that we're all running a very, very, very singular race. And then from ourselves, we can't demand the reward before the maturity. You got to go through your maturation period. You have to figure out what that looks like for you because you can't put too much on somebody who's not worth or not worth it, not ready for it. um God won't he won't allow us to continue to take on all that we think we're ready for before we're ready for it. For example, a man can be saying, "Hey, look, I'm ready to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company." If you ain't never even been a supervisor at your local company, how you gonna get to that level? You know what I'm saying? So You gotta you gotta be realistic with yourself. Can't demand that reward before the maturity. But to jump out of the deep topics, I know I've been talking on self-discovery and therapy and creativity and God and centering yourself and all of those kinds of great topics. Very, very fantastic topics. But outside of that, you got Wiz just dropped the album. Anybody who knows me, huge, huge Wiz fan. Wiz album would first off, thank you, Wiz. That was amazing. Needed that. I love trap Wiz. You throw Wiz on some trap beats and hey, I'm good. Wiz with some 808s behind it. Yeah, that's perfect music right there. So great album, 10 out of 10. Hope he followed that up with something else. But you got King Cole returning, man. King Cole coming with an album. I know I've seen a lot of people on Twitter hype about it. I'm hype about it myself. J. Cole is top tier lyricist for me. So I can't wait. It's definitely gonna be one of them ones that the minute it come out, I'm throwing it on. I'm throwing it on repeat. I gotta digest it. I gotta hear it. I gotta see what's all to it. But recently another one of my favorites, another one of my goats actually, when it come to rap. And I know that might be controversial for some people, but if you go back and look at the man's discography, he is top tier. Your favorite rapper ain't had a career like him. Guarantee it. Unless it's future. But T.I. dropped his snippet, dropped the song. I heard it. He back. He done cut his hair, everything. He's still old, but the man got lyrics. Hey, he get to it. Huge Ti fan, man. So I'm definitely glad to see music back in a good space. I would say rap music, hip hop culture. To get back to a good space. Looking for R&B to get back to that space too. You know, we need some Jodeci's of the world. We need some Aaliyahs of the world. We need, you know what I'm saying, all of that. Definitely love R&B music. Got a crazy R&B playlist with, plethora of artists on it, but we got to get back to that. Um, that type of music, that was, man, folks today don't know nothing about that. But I try to keep these episodes 30 minutes or less, man. I know, a lot of people, they don't want to sit here and listen to you for that long or whatever. But for me, this is my creative outlet. This is me stepping outside of my box. I know a lot of folks may see this or hear this and then be like, "Man, where the visuals at? We want to see the studio. We want to see all of that kind of stuff." I promise you, I'm working on it, but I wanted to step in front of that and give something to show the world, "Hey, I'm doing something." So I appreciate y'all. I done took up enough of y'all time. No matter where you are, I thank you. I guarantee it's not gonna always be the most deep episode. I am a very humorous person. So you are going to get a lot of jokes, a lot of crazy commentary. But I 100% appreciate any and everybody who tuned in. Um, Please tune in next week to the second episode. And I promise I'm going to get right back with y'all. Other than that, all I got is peace, love, and chicken grease, y'all. Holla at you. Welcome to the first episode of